Game time. Married to the game, but his kid don't play. Know all about the heat like Dwayne on Wade. His records don't fade. How I run inside the lane is insane. You saying now, what is you saying?
You can tell by the energy that it's game time. Giving you sports and entertainment at the same time. Roy coming with the X's and O's, while Lakita got the scoop on what you need to know.
Back to the wall, that's a Hall of Fame. Make it so hot that they call out the flames. Made them holler things, how we on $1 way just to get up all the ring, if you know what I mean.
We got the super team, we going for the chip. No matter what the pitch, we got another hit. Know the main reason why the fans go nuts? It's married to the game, yeah, we so clutch.
If nothing else remains the same, I'm married to the game. Players and teams will change. I'm married to the game. People always come and go, but I'm married to the flow. If nothing else remains the same, we're married to the game. Yeah, I'm married to the game.
Yeah. What's going on, good peoples? My name is Rory Chirac.
And I'm Lakita Chirac.
And this is Married to the Game. Thank you, God, so much for this opportunity and this blessing. Thank you, fans, north, south, east, west, overseas.
I mean, you like covered it all.
I didn't shout out the people in the Midwest. Sorry, I don't want anyone to feel slighted.
You know what? I'm still all geeked up off of this, our new intro song. I mean, it's hot.
It's a hot groove.
In a way, it makes me think I'm young
dancing.
again.
I'm dancing, y'all.
Really?
I'm dancing because that heat, that beat, Maxis, J Dollar, Xavier Madison,
shout out
on the R&B vocals.
Audio engineer Traxor Taylor.
It's a hot record. And that really personifies us to the fullest.
It set it off.
We get a lot of good feedback on social media and emails and all that good stuff.
The love just pours in, and you know, it makes you feel all gooey inside, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know about gooey inside. That's your angle. But I definitely want to acknowledge that there may be some folks who are listening to us for the very first time. We got people that
might not know
follow
who we
us,
are.
But then let's cover that base. Okay,
let's cover it.
Because I'm a 20-year veteran sports writer. I hit you in the head with all the stats, the storylines, the schedules, the things you need to know, all that good stuff. You know how the sports fans need to know that stuff. That's my job to fill in.
Not good stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff. I'm the casual fan, the novice, as we should say. I, make it relatable for all the folks with all that blah, boring stuff that you do. I bring the fun to it, the entertainment.
Well, there's nothing boring about Married to the Game.
Nothing at all.
We're fine dining.
Yeah, I like that.
We like to eat. You like those bland meals, though. You just like some hamburger and french fries or just
I'm not going to let you say bland.
A steak or something like that.
We're going to just say Southern hospitality.
Even with Southern cuisine, you're very bland and boring. I like diversity.
Well, yeah, that.
I like treating my palate to different flavors from all over the world. And we fill your belly here on Married to the Game with colorful personalities, great sports info, the music, the entertainment, and the first dish on today's menu, the PGA Championship. Now, I was trying to break it down to you earlier. This is the final major of the year.
I can't do it, partner. I just can't. It's too...
It's great. And it sets up shop at scenic Quail Hollow up in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we'll walk the fairway with former senior writer for Sports Illustrated, now with morningread.com, Gary Van Sickle. Trying to get you on board the golf, so maybe Gary and I can help along in that process.
If we go out on the course itself, then yeah.
The next entree is football. And we'll chat X's and O's for the opening weekend of NFL preseason. And we got some interesting topics, which I really can't wait to get your feedback on.
You know what? Actually, this season, I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
College football on the menu. It's the Big Ten preview this time around. You got some Wisconsin ties. They're in the Big Ten. And Indianapolis, you used to live there, so
back in the day, not too far back.
So Indiana Hoosiers, there you go. You can have some relatable ties with that.
Yeah, because I got to relate some kind of way.
Okay, and Chris Solari of the Detroit Free Press, he joins us to discuss the Big Ten and what we can expect from that conference in 2017. Fine dining and a buffet table, that doesn't seem to flow together.
No, not at all. Where'd I do that at?
But see, this is a Chirac Media Group production. We make it look good.
Yeah.
Appetizer, main course, dessert. It's always a tasty treat. And there's food for thought.
Right here on Married to the Game.
This for a share of the lead. Did he? Yes, he did. Walker has definitely found his putting touch this week. Bad chance, and down it goes. Jimmy Walker breaks towards the back of the green at the end.
Has he done it? Jimmy Walker, birdie.
There's your champion. A major champion for the first time, Jimmy Walker.
Man, those were some amazing highlights from last year's PGA Championship. I know you were barely paying attention, but those were great highlights.
It was all still yawning moments for me.
Jimmy Walker, Oklahoma City native, winning his first major title, edged out Jason Day by one stroke. He won it at 14 under. And you were on the phone, surfing the web.
Of course. Now, I did catch a little bit here.
I got to give you your props for that.
Yeah.
But golf fans like myself, we got this date circled on the calendar. August 10th through the 13th, PGA Championship, Quail Hollow, Charlotte, North Carolina.
I pass.
You got to really get out on the golf course.
Yeah.
To really get into golf.
If you want to do that, we can so do that. But But
not the miniature golf, not the putt-putt, not Top Golf, real golf course.
Yeah. I think I'd rather do that, play it, than watch it. But I'll still be there for you, hon.
You can be there for me then. Because I'm going to be all giddy about Jimmy Walker going for a title defense. Rory McIlroy, of course, that's my homeboy because the name.
Oh, namesake.
Jordan Spieth, Phil Mickelson, Sergio Garcia, Bubba Watson, Dustin Johnson. Now, this show is about fine dining, right?
Right.
So we got a great dinner guest to chow down on this delicious meal, better known as the PGA Championship. Former senior writer for Sports Illustrated, now with morningread.com, Gary Van Sickle. Hopefully, he and I can help you get into golf.
I think it's a possibility.
Gotta step your game up.
You see how I have to change the way I'm talking since we're doing the fine dining.
Swing for the green. Gary Van Sickle, formerly back in the day of Sports Illustrated, currently with themorningread.com. Thank you so much for joining us on Married to the Game.
It's always great being had.
Well, Gary, you're no stranger to golf, and Quail Hollow is no stranger to prime golf tournaments. I mean, they've been hosting the Wells Fargo every year, even back when it was the Wachovia. But this is the venue's first PGA Championship. So talk about the significance and the upgrade.
Well, it's kind of like driving a regular Camry, and then all of a sudden you get to drive a Camry that's got everything on it. It's fully loaded Camry. It's still a Camry.
Right.
But a golf tournament's a golf tournament, but it's like horse racing. We pick out a couple that are special, and the PGA is the last special one of the year.
Right.
And what makes it interesting is that despite all the Wells Fargo events that have been at Quail Hollow, they've changed the golf course and upgraded it and changed a few holes and made it somewhat different for the PGA. So normally you can look back and say, oh, yeah, Rory McIlroy and Ricky Fowler always play well here or whoever. But because they've changed the golf course, it's the same course, but it's not the same course.
Well, it's been 10 years since we've had a repeat winner at the PGA Championship. That was Tiger back in 06-07. Do you think Jimmy Walker can go back-to-back, and why is it so hard to accomplish this feat?
Yeah, you said that name, Tiger. It rings a bell.
Remember that guy?
Who was that guy?
Yeah.
Was he that guy who won everything and was real exciting? Tiger was so good he could play well anywhere, and every golf course is different. And I think the big thing for defending is how you're playing on August in 2016, how are you playing 12 months later? For most guys, it's completely different. You know, your game changes, or you're on a roll or you're not on a roll. I mean, you see the same players win at Wimbledon every year because they like the clay or they like the grass, and you see the different players winning the French Open because it's on clay. And you kind of have that in golf. So it's tough to not only be able to play two completely different courts as well, you've got to also have your own game at a peak at that same time. And not many guys do that. Jimmy Walker's gone through some problems with Lyme disease. Really set him back all year.
Yes.
And he was just finding his game in Firestone last week and had a couple of good days. Then he kind of tanked on Saturday. So I have a feeling his game's on the rise and he's close. But, you know, he hasn't won a whole lot in his PGA career. So he's not a guy you would expect to really defend, you know, really anything, much less a tournament that's being played at a different course.
Now, we know it's a loaded field. You mentioned Rory and you talked about Jordan Spieth. I mean, it's the PGA Championship, right? But who do you see that's flying under the radar that will make us all raise our eyebrows come Sunday morning heading into the final round?
Well, that's what's fun about golf. You just never know. I'm doing a story for Morning Read. I've done a series. I've got a guy who's actually, he's sort of a professional gambler, but really he's more involved in horse and dog racing. But he likes to bet on golf for the majors.
Right.
The guy, I mean, if you want a guy who's totally off the grid, and I'm assuming he's in the field, but I haven't checked, but I'm assuming he is. He told me this guy who came out of nowhere to finish 5th at the U.S. Open at Erin Hills, his name is Zonder Schauffele. Even the golf writers, most of them still don't know who he is. He had a decent week last week in Akron. The guy can just flat out play. He's been playing great all summer. And not to make this into a betting thing, because none of us, you're crazy to bet golf.
Right.
But the odds makers had this guy at the bottom line. He's like 140 to 1. I think a better name that people maybe have heard of a little bit, this 22-year-old Spanish kid. He's big, he's like 6'2". John Rahm played at Arizona State. He's a superstar waiting to happen. In fact, he's already kind of happening, and he's got the whole package. He's got that passion. He's fiery, and that's probably gets in his way sometimes, but this guy can play, and I wouldn't be – if he won a major, nobody would go, oh, my goodness, I can't believe it. You're like, yeah, this guy is really going to be good.
Now, it's hard to believe. I had to really, really look and be like, oh, my gosh, this is true, that Rory's last major win was 2014, and he's changed caddies, so that made a lot of waves. How do you see this all playing out?
Well, it just seems like, Rory's a guy, he's been – one of these superstars who kind of hasn't let fame really change his life too much. And he's driven to succeed in golf, but not driven to the point where he doesn't want to live life. So I think he has periods where he gets focused on golf and plays great and wins a bunch. He won 4 majors.
Yeah.
And I think he just wanted to get back to, I think he got interested in body sculpting. I don't know if you saw any pictures of him like last year. So I think he's done with these distractions for a while. And now, Jordan Spieth and Jason Day and Jimmy Walker last year, these other guys have come along and started winning majors. Life was good for Rory. He's rich. I think sometimes you need to get a kick in the butt to get your attention and get refocused. So I think his game's on the rise, and I think he probably will be the favorite because he's got a good track record at Quail Hollow. So he probably will be the official guy to beat at the PGA, whether that's true or not. But the public will think he is, and it's hard to argue.
And so you don't see anything with the changing caddy midseason being anything to offset his game?
I think I actually would take that as a positive because he said he was getting frustrated with his game, and his caddy's one of his best friends he's known forever. And he realized even though he was the one hitting the bad shots, he was starting to blame his caddy. And he said, sometimes you have to save a friendship, you have to sacrifice a professional relationship.
I understand.
So rather than say something you shouldn't say, that line when you're talking to your wife, if you cross it, you can't take it back. He didn't want to cross that line, and so he wanted to stay friends with this guy. And he's like, I need a fresh face. I need a different look. But to me, that says he still has that. He hasn't lost that edge. He still really, really wants to win to the point where he's willing to part ways with his longtime caddy to freshen things up. It shows me that he's still got the passion and he really wants to win. And I think that's something you got to have.
He's a personal favorite. I mean, we share the same name, so when he wins, it's like I win, we win. That's why I'm always pulling for him.
Well, if if my name was Zonder, I could be rooting for Schauffele. Isn't it funny how we make attachments to people for whatever reason?
Any way you can.